Co jest?
Co jest?
I love this crowd, Carmack. Well, we're into day 2 here of the European Challenger Circuit, Paul, and we're into the final day, which can only mean one thing: epic games.
Drugi dzień turnieju w Warszawie, European Challenger Circuit. Będą fantastyczne gry, playoffy. The playoffs, Joe, the playoffs.
The playoffs. We've got 4 great teams that have made it this far. The 4 teams that probably most of you out there were expecting to get this far as well. The first game is going to be brilliant. The second game surely will be just as good as well.
Tak więc mamy 4 drużyny, które były spodziewali się wszyscy, że będą w playoffach. No i na pewno dostarczą nam bardzo ciekawych meczów.
So
Actually,
I want to see a
is this
quick show
one
of hands. Who
open?
was actually here yesterday?
Kto był wczoraj? A kto jest nowy?
That's almost everyone. So we need to make sure that we're louder than yesterday. You guys were absolutely awesome, but you know, playoffs, semi-finals, grand final, we need to be louder today.
Będziemy dzisiaj głośniej niż wczoraj.
I'd say that's a good start. I think we should bring in the
Better than
teams.
yesterday.
That's a better start than yesterday. At
Hold
the
on.
start.
So let's show really quickly groups from yesterday. Let's show groups from yesterday if we can. Let's talk about what happened yesterday. Porozmawiajmy troszeczkę o tym, co się stało wczoraj.
Yep, so we got our, from Group A, obviously, which is where we started yesterday. The 2 Polish teams kicked us off here on stage for the first game. Unfortunately for them, they were the 2 teams that lagged behind in that group. But of course, we had Crs finishing in first place. They only dropped 1 game against MYM. And of course, SK finishing in second, also dropping their 1 game against Crs. Over in Group B, a little bit later in the day, we had CLG and M5 going through. And again, Carmack, we had some interesting games, some great games actually, but the 4 teams that everyone expected to go through are there today.
Yes, that's true. Tak więc króciutko. Crs SK Gaming w grupie A nad polskimi drużynami. Zdecydowani faworyci przeszli. Wielki show Ocelot zrobił po meczu. W grupie B zdecydowanie CLG Europa po przyjeździe z Korei dominowali. Let's look at the playoffs bracket for today. It's, you know, fantastic. The best games you can ever dream for in Europe.
Yeah, and of course, everything from this stage will be best of 3 as well. We'll be showing you the 3rd place playoff game later on, and then, of course, the grand final. So, first up, we're going to be seeing Crs.eu, the winners of Group A against Moscow 5. Undoubtedly one of the best teams in the world. You may even say that about Crs as well. And of course, they'll be kicking things off. And then later on, SK Gaming versus CLG.eu. Not just a great game, but a game that has got a lot of history with 2 members from CLG, formerly SK players. I'm just excited for today.
Yep. And in Polish zobaczymy mecz Crs z M5. Zdecydowanie jedna z najlepszych drużyn na świecie. No i oczywiście ten ciekawy mecz CLG Europa z SK Gaming, gdzie zawodnicy w tych drużynach się mieszali, więc to dodaje zdecydowanie smaczku tym rozgrywkom dzisiejszym.
Well, I think it's about time that we stop showing these pretty faces and brought on the real players.
Let's do that. So, Joe, how about you start here?
So, I just said that we need to hear a little bit more noise than yesterday, and I hope you guys are going to play with me on this one. Let's welcome our first team into this one. Crs.eu! And their opponents, one of the best teams in the world. They almost looked unstoppable at most events coming up into this one. Let's hear it for their challenges in this first semi-final. Moscow 5! So let's hear it once again. Moscow 5 versus Crs.eu. Let's get this show on the road. We're going to give it up to our casters in English. Daniel Klein, and Demon for game number 1.
Tak więc oddajemy głos do komentatorów i zaczynajmy ten mecz.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another lively League of Legends tournament final day. And wow, what a day we have! Crs.eu and coming through in the Group A, which was a close group in the end.
Absolutely.
I mean, 2-1, 2-1, and then CLG. Wow, didn't they look awesome? You know, when was the last time they dropped a game?
Not in Korea,
not in
Sweden. I don't think they've dropped a game at an offline event yet, but they've only...
It's got to be
actually, no, MLG or Gamers Assembly.
Yes, MLG, of course. MLG, yeah.
And that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. So what a fantastic day we have. Coming up straight away, it's going to be Crs Moscow 5. And, well, I'm excited about this one. You know, I saw the 2 semi-finals, and I was like, this is the one that's got a real potential for an upset. Crs have got a really good record against CLG. If they were to make it to the finals, and CLG would make it to the finals, it will make a really interesting final. Literally, Crs last night, they are so confident. We're like, we got a 100% record on blue side. You know, they want to get this in the way. You know, when they're both coming through as top seeds, I have no idea how it works, whether it's a coin flip or what goes on in the final for blue side. I think it's seed, but how do you do a seed for 2 semi-finals?
Yeah, so I think what we are going to do is we're going to let the first person from the group, the first place in the group probably gets first pick, but I'm not entirely sure for the match for third place and for the finals, we are probably going to do another coin toss then, or a coin toss, as they call it in esports.
Indeed. So Crs versus Moscow 5 straight away. There's a good history between these two teams. You know, they both had pretty good results against each other. Crs lost 2-0 in a very close game at DreamHack to Moscow 5. The first game, they felt they had it, and they did have it, and they threw it away. They were upset about that. They weren't happy. The second game, they completely knocked them off the stride, and they've got to be careful that doesn't happen again. Because, you know, when you have these best-of-3 series, which is what this is, I believe.
Yes,
double checking
yes,
that.
It is. Yes, it is.
Pretty sure it is. I've come in last minute, guys. I was doing the next game. And I was just like, no, you're doing this one. Come on, run up the stairs, quick. So a little bit unprepared for this one.
That's
but I'm
totally fine.
But these teams last night, okay, so they were both at the bar, sat on the tables opposite each other, and I swear they were trying to outdrink each other. They're like, and I said, which one's going to be the first to leave the table? Who's going to be the first to back down? Who's like Alexic and sat there, and Zidek and everything sat there, and CLG, and it's great to see that. This is the things that we used to get in my day when we did like this Call of Duty 4 big tour. At all the teams, I think we had 3 or 4 back-to-back events, and all the teams, they start to intermingle, they all get to know each other, they all become friends, and that's what it was last night. That's what it reminded me of. Everybody was there, CLG, Moscow 5, Crs, and SK, and everybody was just enjoying themselves, having a chat, talking anything. Elo Hell were there as well. There was people from Meet Your Makers as well, Acer. Actually, no, there wasn't any Acer guys, I don't recall. But yeah, they were all really friendly. Everybody was happy and talking and, you know, saying about the games and tactics and all sorts of just mingling, being social, I guess, which is what's great. That's what the game's all about, the community growing.
Yeah, and these guys are really good friends now if they've met each other at so many offline events. Let's just talk very quickly about Crs and M5. Crs have entered the scene much later than M5, so M5 had sort of a head start. And for a while, you mentioned that they seemed completely invincible, taking down both TSM and CLG at different events. It almost seems like DreamHack broke the spell a little bit. There were a couple of online tournaments afterwards where M5 really underperformed, but you know, online and M5, it's not really that important. But now, yesterday, they did not seem their usual selves. And a little birdie told me that Crs have actually been scrimming with TSM off stream like all day long for the last week or so.
Wow,
so they should be super prepared for this, and they really want to take it off them. Crs have not shown that much of a strong showing at offline events so far, but they probably feel this is the event where they can make a name for themselves, and I'm pretty sure they want to go into the finals against CLG and possibly even take the finals of CLG. Obviously, M5, never underestimate them. They are completely... They'll come up with strange things just when you thought they stopped doing it. Yesterday they had the nice little switcheroo.
It was normal.
Exactly. Just when they thought they went mainstream, they still show you that they still got it. Of course, yesterday they did the little switcheroo against Crs.eu, and I think if there's any team that is currently prepared to deal with weird switcheroos, it's probably Crs.eu.
Yeah, it was probably the last people you wanted to try that on, because they've been living with it in Korea for the last God knows how many days. in scrims, and it was good to talk to CRG. They were talking about how the scrims are in Korea and how things work, and it's like you only ever see them scrim in CRG because none of the other teams will allow it to be streamed. They're very strict on that, whereas opposed to, say, the North American, European teams, they'll actually advertise that they're going to scrim it so they can, get viewers. Exactly. Yeah. So it's about the money. Whereas it's a different mindset between the two teams, and I can understand why the Koreans do it. They don't want stuff shown. OGN's a huge tournament right there, so they don't want to show things. It's going to be good to see how Azupa Blaze do when they come over, how that's going to work out against Team Solar Mid. Team Solar Mid, like you said, scrimming with Curse. That doesn't surprise me, obviously, with MLG coming up as well just next weekend. And it really opens things up, ironically, actually. I'm going to mention it. I wasn't going to mention it, but Curse, I'm talking to Fly, so the manager of Curse, and he was like, yeah, we didn't really want to go to New York. I was like, sure, you didn't want an expenses-paid trip to New York. You threw that game. Yeah, we didn't. We just wanted to practice for Gamescom. I was like, oh, really? So playing like TSM Azuba Blaze on a LAN tournament wasn't good practice? Yeah, you're like, no, too many days flying. And it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Don't take anything away from Black.
I spoke to the Curse players and they were like, yeah, we just arrived at the new gaming house. We were completely not set up.
The excuses are all coming out.
Well, yeah, but they admit that they tried to win. And honestly, the Bacon Lovers, probably not going to be called Bacon Lovers much longer, but they are such a strong team, and I am honestly jealous of you that you get to cast them in New York, because they still throw out the really strange stuff, and that's great to see, of course. And I think we're about to be ready there. Yes, there is a start being called, so we are about to go into the champion select for M5 versus Crs.eu any second now.
Right, so picks and bans. How are we going to go with this one? Moscow 5, they've generally had a ban against them. Urgot, you've got to go Urgot. Yep. Karthus has been one of the ones that they've been going towards. Now, Karthus, ironically, Froggen has been playing pretty heavily. Yorick, the first ban, though, by Curse. Now, we have seen Darian playing Yorick on that top lane. I think it was against Elo Hell, I believe it was. It might well have been on that top lane. Maokai being banned out. Obviously, that is a well-known champion of Maluna. Shen being taken out. Pretty generic one there, I guess you could say. Yeah, and Malphite as well. Malphite has been one of those champions that a lot of people considered very, very strong nowadays. It's interesting he's come back into it since Jax sort of came into the prime.
Yeah, exactly, because he has the people started to understand how important attack speed debuffs are these last couple of weeks, maybe. So Ezreal having a bit of a resurgence in bot lane, people just maxing his W to win those duels, and the same goes for Malphite. Once Malphite jumps in on your AD carry, maybe he can't kill him right away, but he can make him completely, well, he can kind of take him out of the fight, right? Because he's going to be attacking much less often. And then we see Shyvana and Urgot, the last two bans. The Urgot, you called it, absolutely, and it would be very, very silly not to ban Urgot at this point. Yeah,
and interestingly, it's even Moscow 5 banned it. Yeah. Now, I'm not that convinced Leper's that strong on Urgot. And I've seen him in a few games, and he's been a bit weak on Urgot, so it does surprise me that they did to go with that one. But I think it's better just to be safe than sorry rather than anything else. So they have taken it out. So quite a lot of tanky champions removed. What will the first pick be for Anguish? And, we've seen CRG, they were insta-locking Alistair. It's something that they've I guess, gained from their time in Korea. Curse, I'm not so sure whether they'd go along that route.
Well, Maluno played an incredible Alistair yesterday. We gave him MVP for Group A, right? Internally, we had a little article written up about him, and there it is. That is going to be Maluno's jungle Alistair. He is probably going to want to try and replicate that again. He just completely shut down the top lane of, what team was it? Might have been Ace's top lane that he shut down with the Alistair, yes. In that game against Acer yesterday, and I think he's probably going to try to do something like that again. And there it is. Gosu Pepper is going to be happy.
Gosu Sona is coming out. So yeah, Gosu Pepper very happy on Sona. Will be insta-locking that one, I would expect. The question is, what will go alongside him? What will Alex Itch play in that middle? We've seen him playing a lot of Janna mid lately and a lot of Zillion mid. Now, neither of those have been banned out. Zillion's definitely something he's been pulling out. That's their strategy they like.
Zillion Jax is open. That's exactly the strategy they like. And if Curse are aware of that, of course, they can snatch the Jax up, but they are actually going for an Ashe.
Okay, that's something I've not seen an Ashe in this tournament at all, and I've not seen an Ashe for a while in any tournament. Yeah. But you got to remember the original setup, the original Empire had Ashe in there alongside Nunu. We won't exactly get that same combo, but we are going to get Ezreal again, which is something Slepper played twice yesterday. I think may have even been banned in the final game. Not too sure.
Actually, Slepper with the highest CS and the highest gold per minute in yesterday's group stage, he had something around 390 gold per minute on his Ezreals. averaged over 3 games, one of which was a loss even.
And there's the next favorite as well.
Yep, there is the Tarek as well. And this is actually the first Ashe pick or ban in this entire tournament. So we'll have to see if Moscow 5 have a special strategy prepared around that Ashe.
That Ashe. So
You had to do it, didn't you?
Maluna and Slepper. I mean, now that's say Maluna and Slepper. Slepper and Zinek, sorry. That's the combo that's been working pretty well for them lately.
Yeah.
They've started to get up. I know there's always been rumblings around the team, you know, whether Zinek's a bit disruptive. He's a lively guy, you know, that's what it is. And, you know, possibly same situation, I guess, with St. Vicious had with CLG maybe.
Yeah.
Thinking back to his time in Korea. Obviously, things didn't work out, and he ended up moving on to Curse, the North American Curse, which we'll be seeing in MLG next weekend. But Udyr coming out. We did see Udyr, I think, was played the last game that we jumped into, Moscow 5 versus Elo Hell, is it?
Could have been. I was on the way out yesterday. I just watched a little bit from the lobby.
No, it was the one we jumped across into. Oh, no, I was with
that
Jat.
was with
I
Jat.
lied,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
with Jat. They're all blending into one.
Yes.
So many commentators, I'm getting confused.
Yeah. there was actually one Ashe before, apparently.
Oh, wow, okay. It's the Vlad Kennen
there
mix.
we go.
That's something the Moscow 5 are very common at using. You know, they do go with that. The Wota's going to come out, the Willie the Ancient's double stack.
Yeah.
It is a pretty common goal. The question is, what will they go against Darian's top lane, Vladimir? I'm just thinking, what was the one that he talked about? Fiddlesticks actually works really well against him because you can drain him through the pool.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really...
Don't expect that, though.
No, you can't really pool the silence either because it's instacast, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of CC that you can do against him, but I really don't think... It's a bit of a... It's a bit of a gimmicky pick. I mean, Swain works for the same kinds of reasons. His dots work through the pool as well, but still, it's just not important enough that you go for that. I think Irelia works. Kale, of course, works. So this is the TSM setup that Curse have tried before against Black and failed with. And I spoke to a couple of the CLG players yesterday, and they said, well, that setup is great if you can make it work, but in order for it to work, Kale has to completely shut down top lane, and that's the question now. Does Angush actually have what it takes to shut down Darian's top lane? And it is going to be the Vladimir in top lane, of course, as you said, and the Udyr in the jungle.
And you know what? I can't call it right now. These are both very strong teams. Both teams have got essentially what they wanted. They've not banned around it. They've not picked around it. They've both gone for the strategy they both wanted. They've just avoided each other effectively.
Pretty much,
yeah. Counter banning. I mean, they're going to be very happy with the bottom lane, Slepper Ezreal. Going to be very happy having Extinct on Karthus in the middle. Maluna's going to be very happy on Alistair. And Angush, how happy is he going to be on Kale? I'm not sure. I've not really seen him playing it.
I don't know. Kale is... If she works well, if she gets an early start in the lane because of the AoE damage from her E, she can push lanes so easily. So she can snowball really, really hard in the lane if she does get that early start. But we'll have to see how it works out. I predict that Maluna is going to be there a lot in the top lane, trying to make sure that Angush wins that lane. Because the other lanes, you know, Karthus is not going to try and win the lane. Karthus is going to sit back and just throw out Skittles and hope to get as much farm as he possibly can. And it's going to be pretty much the same in bot lane. I mean, maybe they want to go in for a couple of bursts, but it's not Korea, so you're not going to see a lot of junglers in the bot lane. This is actually a really strange thing in Korea where the junglers just value bot lanes so very highly. They just go for it all the time. I'd be surprised to see it here. And what do you think about the Udyr in the jungle?
Well, I'm never sure about that one. Obviously, it's Jat's favourite by a long way. Udyr in the jungle, he'd be very happy with that. How he says Diamond Prox built it very differently. He built it very tanky. Doesn't go for the damage. So I wouldn't expect to see a Wriggles maybe coming out early. He's going towards the tankiness. I don't know how he's going to build it. Jat is definitely the expert on that one. I would always refer to his knowledge on it. That's just what he mentioned last night. But yeah, I mean, with the Vladimir Kennen line, that's something we've seen so often from Moscow 5. It's worked for them. And it's also gone wrong for them. They tried it in DreamHack against CLG and it didn't work out. However, most teams they tried against, it works very, very well.
Yes, exactly.
And we know what Ghost Pepper's like on that bottom lane with Sony. He's very happy with that. And Genji, can passive farm. You got that volley. It's a long, long range in it, which is why I think they've possibly gone for that. I think they expected Ezreal.
Absolutely possible, and if they can zone Ezreal out of effective farm, it could be very, very hard for Curse to deal with that. We see an instant pause. That's the first this tournament, but it shouldn't be hard to work this out since we have admins on the stage, and they should be able to figure this out very quickly. So let's talk a little bit about how M5 are going to want to go into team fights. I think what they ideally want to do is they want to hit a high-value target with an arrow, and then they have so much follow-up. They have so much that they can do. They can run in and crescendo. They can run in and slicing Maelstrom with cannon to hold it further in place. And if they even get in range for it, Vladimir will just put on his damage amplification as well. They will probably not want to go in for the full jump in and team fight thing, because it's just not that much the Moscow 5 thing, especially since Alex Ish tends not to build Sonias on cannon. He's one of the very few cannon players who doesn't actually go for that Sonias. He just wants to build as much damage and MR reduction as possible, so he's going to have an early Abyssal and that kind of stuff. So he is not going to be that kind of cannon that just flushes or runs in and then Sonias with his ultimate ticking. So it's probably going to be more of a catch somebody and kill them setup. Whereas on the other side, they can potentially go in. If Maluno gets a good head by Pulverize, it gets a couple of people locked up into that, Angush can do a lot of damage. Remember that he is he's sort of like a secondary AD carry there in the top lane, in that as soon as he switches on his E, he's going to have a really good range, really good damage, and he's also going to build Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer. Unlike, of course, Vladimir is going to build AP or normal top laners like Irelia, who will build more tanky bruiser stuff. So there is going to be a lot of damage potential from Curse, but they need to make sure not to get caught out. They need to make sure not to lose people early on in the fight. And of course, they need to make sure, as we said, that they decisively win that top lane, because otherwise, and that's, once again, I'm just repeating what CLG told me, that's what's necessary for KO to actually work.
Indeed. So we are going to go live and into the game. So if you've just joined us, it is going to be Curse versus Moscow 5, the first semi-final of the ECC Poland, the European Challenger Circuit. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it means they're going to get points, and what the points make? Prizes. That's what they make, and it is $40,000 up for grabs in this tournament. So Curse qualifying top of their group, facing Moscow 5, who came through second in their group, which is always a strange thing for me to say.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. Oh, we've gone with another pause again. But for the blue team, it will be Curse. That's going to be down in the bottom left-hand corner. The top team is going to be Moscow 5 in the red or purple, whichever you prefer to call them, but it is red nowadays. It's become the standard, I think, the colorblind mode.
It is, I don't know, it's aesthetically more pleasing, at least to me.
It
That's
is,
a very subjective...
Red versus blue. It's, it's the classic.
Yeah, it is kind
there's
of.
cartoons made after that.
Yeah, it's true, it's true. It's just, I play it like that as well, and I get confused when I see it in non-color. Actually, I have it in non-color mode here because I didn't have time to switch yet. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the pauses right now.
No, it's Curse now. It was Moscow 5 a minute ago, now it's Curse.
All right. They did have time to warm up. Extinct actually this morning was warming up, was getting into a ranked game, and then a ESL admin came, asked him a couple of questions, distracted him, and he random Teemo, and he had to go AD Teemo bot. So that was why Extinct was trolling your ranked game this morning. If you were in that game, it was not on purpose. It was an ESL admin.
That Dave, completely upset him. So yeah, once we get the pause underway, I mean, how do we think this is going to go? And more to the point, how would it go if it were to tip in Curse's favor? How would Moscow 5 react to that? They were very angry about that CLG loss they had last night.
Yeah, I can imagine. They still need to figure out how to bring an advantage home when they have one, even when they have just a small one. But they are also not that great at sieging. I mean, don't get me wrong, they are definitely one of the best teams in the world. They do a lot of things right. They do a lot of early aggression really, really well. So if M5 are to win this game, what I expect to see is a lot of early aggression, a lot of lanes won decisively for Moscow 5, maybe a good dragon fight or two, and after that it just becomes a formality of playing it down. If the lanes go even, I think Curse have a very, very good chance in this one. And if it goes into a very late game, well, it's going to be a question of nerves. M5 have shown from time to time that they may not have the nerves, but I can't really remember how well Curse do in those super long games either. So that is a completely open question if it goes a very, very late game. Just having a quick look across, as far as very late game characters go, we do have the Karthus, of course. On the other side, Vladimir is pretty good still in late game, but there's nothing that really screams scaling at you, is there, on M5's team?
And as a top lane at KL, which way would you normally build it? I mean, you can go either way with KL. As one of the champions, I guess you could say technically the same with Kennen. We have had a few AD Kennens this way. Obviously, it's going to be an AP Kennen in mid for Alex Ich, but top lane Angush, which way is it going to go? Because he plays a lot of AP champions.
I think he's going to build AD. I think it's the only way to build it. Yeah. Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer. It's a straightforward, full-on AD carry build. And he can do that because Kayle can be very, very safe. She can save herself from ganks with her ultimate. But of course, in team fights, and let's just talk about this really quickly because we mentioned it before the game, the TSM strat that I'm referring to is a strategy that we saw. Oh, actually, we may have a remake here. Well, the TSM strategy is one we saw at the American tournament. I think it was at the last MLG. Where what they do is basically they send in Karthus very, very aggressively. They even have him flash in, and they put the Kayle ultimate on him right away, so they can't actually do anything to him. And that's what Karthus wants to do anyway. He wants to stay in the middle of the fight, get killed, and have his damage ticking, and that's normally just the 7 seconds after death, right? But with the Kayle ultimate, it's a few more seconds on top of that. Let me see, it's 2 seconds, which doesn't sound like much, but in a team fight that could be an eternity.
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 seconds of extra time where he can just throw out spells and do damage.
Especially with those inevitable Guardian Angels we're going to have on the later on. So it's inevitable they're going to come out. You know they will do.
I just have to say props to you for casting that fight. I went to Reddit, I saw the video there, I watched it again. First of all, I didn't know they put us on video. I was like, what?
Yeah, we were like,
what? That was literally all I was doing during that whole fight.
I think I'm just slamming in the floor or something like that.
Exactly. But honestly, you actually caught everything that happened. That was impressive. I did a smaller GA fight, I think, toward the end of the game, and not so much happened. And even that was like, I don't know who just came back, but somebody's
back alive.
Yes,
I'm not sure which one.
It's pretty tough.
Now let's talk about actually while we're talking about this. We have seen Angus disconnect. This is actually going to be a problem. I think a remake may have to happen because they were clearly going for an invade here.
Yeah. Well, if he is back in time, they may be able to still do it, but it's not comfortable. I'm not entirely sure what the rules say, but generally the rules are if you're before 5 minutes or before First Blood, you can do a remake. That's the general kind of rules we go with. There is not, as of yet, one uniform body of rules for how League of Legends is going to be played. I believe that is going to change. Marco would know more about that, but that is something we're probably going to work towards. But currently, the DSL uses very similar rules in all their tournaments, and generally what they go for is before 5 minutes or before First Blood. If there's like a game-breaking problem, we're going to remake. But of course they are going to want to try to not do that because that will add some extra time on. And you guys of course want to see this match. CM5 here, they look pretty ready. They are, they look very focused. I'm just going to call it focused. And we saw John Stein there for a second as well.
We did.
With the Crs PCs.
So to most people.
Yep.
You've seen him on the Reddit thread as well. Thank you very much for posting on there. We know we do keep eyes on that. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well. Yours is Daniel Z. Klein.
And yours is QVD Man.
It is indeed. So yeah, don't forget to follow us on there. We will try and keep things up to date. I have finally got connected to the wireless. That was why I wasn't really doing anything yesterday because I was like, nobody told me the password. So I know it. Now you guys could know it as well. It is.
I was about to say, should we say that? Maybe not. Maybe not. If we want to really troll the ESL, we could do it. Oh, let me point out something. Oh, I have a useful observation while I'm stalling for time.
Quick.
Yes, the boots on Sona.
Yes.
We usually see it on his Nunu, but I believe he doesn't always do it on Sona, does he? Or is it like
no, he does because he goes so aggressive because he's always up there and he's one of the few supports these days that do go boots because if you look at Zinnek you can see he's not gone with it. He's going to be going for Philo Stone straight away off the start. Philo Stone probably Heart of Gold following, maybe even occasionally Lucky Pick following that. They can go either way.
Now if Maluno saw this and if Crs want to react to this, they do have a very CC heavy jungler. They could actually try to bait Gozu and Genja into pushing the lane and then just gank early because one ward is not going to be enough to keep them safe. It's either going to have to give up brush control or he's going to have to give up river control, one of the two. So if Crs want to react to this, they could try and go into an early gank here. And of course, as we can see, the Cynic on the Taric has his 4 wards with him, which is pretty much standard. Either that or you throw a pink ward in the mix if you went for the extra utility mastery with the extra gold to start with. And
in terms of level 1 fights, it's actually pretty even. I mean, they've got two good stuns. They've got Taric and Maluna. They could get 2 good stuns in there. But Ashe is going to hurt. You get that 100% crit in your face and the volley to follow. Generally, it's probably going to be what the first level he takes. They don't often take a skill before going in there. And now we've got Kayle highlighted on the screen. He hasn't taken any skill. Expect the slow probably to come out from Kayle there. I can never remember the damn name of it. Garen can switch actually through them. Oh, because you can QWER, can't you? You can go through even when paused. So we can see the skills. So Slepper had taken a skill there. I think I just noticed. It is Righteous. It is Reckoning. That's the slow. That's the one I was after. Slepper has already taken it. So he was taking the Q, which again I can never remember the names of these things. Quick shot would be
Mystic Shot.
We'll be thinking, what are you doing?
He'll be face palming it on
Why does he not know these names?
Shout out to Quick Shot, the man who knows every single skill name in the game.
That's a lot of skill names. It's like 404 right now, I believe we're up to.
And
we are back, and of course Angus is there. So despite those disconnects, he has managed to get back in and rejoin it because he was paused. So here we go, and there is Genja. and he's going to have a good volley shot across this. He's going to be well aware of it. Can they flash Pulverize onto him? I think he's just going to be able to walk away from that one. So they've not gone full-on aggression now, Curse. They are just going to try and bait this one out. They are going to see if they can push for the blue. Push for B, I was about to say. I'm not sure where that was coming from, but I knew what I meant, and you guys knew what I meant at home. Kennen is just going to keep a vision on them and make sure he's not too close. Shuriken goes out and actually causes him to waddle away on that Yordle Alexic. Kennen. Diamond Prox wants to take those wraiths, and I think that's all they're trying to do. They're trying to disrupt Diamond Prox here as much as they possibly can.
Udyr is a jungler that has fallen a little bit out of favor recently, so that was why we were surprised to see him. He's of course going Phoenix Udyr, which is just what you need to clean the jungle as quickly as possible. Am I going to call him Udyr or Udyr, or how are we going to call him?
You call him what you like. Call him Jeff.
Jeff, yes. Jeff is currently doing the airplane here in the jungle, running around pretending to be a plane. Once you see that, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, no, I see now I've got it in my head now.
You're welcome.
I'm thinking Batman. It's like, the arms outstretched.
Maluno starting Wolves, of course, and it looks like he's going to have a very nice pull. I love getting that as a jungler when you have both top and mid come around to do some damage and get a good pull. But we see some contention at the golems here, actually. M5 came in and said, well, Curse, you're not going to get the golems for free, and they are going to have to leave the big golem behind. So a little bit of a victory there for M5, causing them to lose some potions and not getting the full experience in gold they wanted to.
Yeah, not the gold or the experience, and that's going to leave it awkward for Maluno as well. Yep. So as soon as they do manage to go around there, that's going to cause some problems. So let's have a look at the lanes as they stand. So Angush, as you can see, on Kale in this top lane versus Darian on Vladimir. So expect an interesting engagement between this, and I think this is definitely one of the key lanes of this match. In the middle, it is going to be Karthus versus Kennen. That is going to be Extinct versus Alex each. And it's going to be good to see how Alex keeps up in the farm, because Extinct is going to be farming quite happily with the lay waste. The question is, how is it going to work out with Alex itch? I don't know. He's very good at farming. He always does a brilliant job. Yeah. In the jungles, you can see it was Diamond Prox. We talked about him already. He is on Udyr and Maluno, and there's Diamond Prox doing the Batman. I've seen it now. Maluno there on the cow, aka Alistair, and Diamond Prox looks like he's just going to head towards those golems. He's thinking about going for it. He has got the double buff on him. Whether he can go for Kale or not, he's going to see if he can sneak around. Kale is quite far up lane, so it's entirely possible. Diamond Prox got himself in a good position now. Could come around, goes bear stance, tries to go for the stun on Angush, but Vladimir is not responding to this. This is purely a disruption move more than anything, rather than an attempt to kill him. He's just going to take a couple of hits, gets another bear stance in there. Meanwhile, down the bottom, Alistair's going to come around. Genja is in trouble. Genja is going to be first blood. A very, very quick first blood as well there. Great headbutt pulverize combo from Maluno.
Even I was clapping there for a second. I forgot I wasn't in the audience. That was exactly what I said they should do, because they didn't, well, he came around from back, didn't he? He must have in that case. Actually, you know what?
No, he didn't. I think it was the Zinec stun at the start that caused it. He managed to get the stun down, which actually bought him the time to get the headbutt pulverize in there, which is a great little combo.
No, what they did, they saw exactly where they warded, and he went around just at the edge of the vision of the ward. I see. So that was exactly what I was calling there. Just one ward, of course, means you are going to be a little bit more.
And a stun down on Extinct in the mid there, and actually taking down pretty low on health, and it's going to force him back now. But as I was mentioning, or was about to mention, the bottom lane pairing, which we've already seen in action there. Gosu Pepper and Genja on Ashe and Sona. Genja just being taken out already there. And it was Slepper that, actually, no, it wasn't. It was Zinec that picked the kill up. That's not so great. So Slepper and Zinec, the other pairing, that is going to be Pulse Fire, Ezreal, and Tarek. It's the one skin I definitely know the name of right recently.
Yes, and we will hear a lot from Pulsefire's little VOs as well. Yeah.
Oh, hello. Diamond Prox is actually making a move for this bottom lane. He wants to even things up. He's going to come around the back of the Tribush. There is no ward. He's not been spotted. They're going to completely be caught unawares here. Zinec seems to be the target they're going to go for. Best stance move. There's the stun goes down. Genja's trying to put the proc damage down. It will get the kill, and it's going to be Diamond Prox that picks it up. We all square 1-1, and Slepper really just needs to be a little bit careful. He has got his Arcane Shift, so he can back out of that fight, but that was a clean execution.
And mid lane, Maluno showed up not so much for a gank, just to show his presence and maybe to allow Extinct to take a Wraith camp. Yay! So we're into that little fight that the mid laners these days like to do, who gets the other guy's Wraith camp.
Indeed, Slepper taken down pretty low there from an aggressive Gosu Pepper again. We saw the volley actually just missing, and we can hear him activate. We're going to be hearing that throughout the match, as you mentioned. And Diamond Prox actually made his way up that river. They know he's there, but they realize he's still lingering. He's just backed off, so that won't matter. Meanwhile, at the top there, Genja versus Angush, versus Darian. Angus has already had to go back. He's got himself a Doran's Blade. The boots, that was obviously from that gank early on, or early attempted gank. Philo Stone, meanwhile, already on Udyr, but we're going to have Maluna coming around the backside of Darian here. And I don't know whether he's going to be aware of it. He can Sanguine pull out of this one, though, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. There's the pull. He's going to be happy to go on the turret. Yeah, and just back away from that one. No problems at all.
Angush had been losing the lane. He was about 15 CS before, but mid lane we see Alex actually going in with the ultimate right now. The Ignite is taking as well, but Extinct is going to be just fine. Oh, in top lane we might see a bit of a double gank. You know, Diamond actually changing his mind is going to be just fine.
So at the moment you can see, oh, and Alex is going to dive actually. He's going on towards Extinct here. He's going to follow him through that jungle. Meanwhile, you can see Vladimir's got trouble at the top. The pings are going down wildly, saying, I am being chased here. And you can see the top lane is reacting, so they're going to come down. And immediately Alistair's just going to force him away. But that means Alexic, again, is going to get some free farm on that middle turret to just be aggressive. Goes through Pepper there again, being as aggressive as he can down there. But now you go Alexic, actually not going for tower hits, just preferring to farm it up.
Yeah, well, that's what Alex is showing. That's what he does as well on Cannon, apparently. The mid tower is valued very, very highly, so I wouldn't have surprised me to actually see him go for it, but it's, of course, a totally valid strategy to say, I would like to keep the lane here so that I can farm. It would be very, very early to start doing damage there. So look at CS top, 31 to 46, so Vladimir is still kind of winning that lane. It's not a totally decisive shutdown kind of win, but like CLG have been saying, if Kayle is to work, then she needs to shut her lane down, and that is definitely not happening at the moment.
Yeah, which could cause a problem, because Darian is only going to get stronger. Once he hits that level 9, that sort of that ultimate level sort of off playing field for Vladimir, he will become very, very strong. Meanwhile, down this bottom lane, you can see double Doran's Blades on both champions, both AD carries. However, the Brutalizer gloves out there as well for Genji. Obviously, getting that assist early on seems to have helped him farm it a little bit better. 38 CS, though, to 54 is a pretty sizable difference.
Very early oracles on Maluna. He's just popped it now. He's going to go and prepare the blue for Karthus, I believe. Angush is exchanging with Darian, but it's still not working too well for him. The 7-minute oracle is very risky. If he dies sometime soon, that's going to put him way behind. But if it works, of course, it can snowball them very, very much in their favor. The map control is just so very important in this game.
And it does surprise me that actually Alexic is out farming Karthus in that middle, 61 to 45. Meanwhile, down the bottom, you can see Slepper's winning the farm down there. Meanwhile, at the top, it is all about Kayle losing out that farm. So Moscow 5 winning 2 lanes out of 3 at the moment. So
in bot lane, we see Genja getting initiated on. There is the Karthus ultimate coming down onto Gosu as well. Slepper forces the flash out of Gosu, so that was actually quite a good exchange there. Karthus went into a very safe position to use the ultimate there. We sometimes see the mid lane jumping onto the Karthus while he ultis. But it doesn't look like this is going to really make that much of an impact on bot lane. 46 to 64, actually 20 CS ahead for Ezreal in that bot lane. So yeah, it is helping, and I guess they're trying to do everything they can. Maluna is going to come top again, but he sees the ward, and he's going to take it out just before it expires. So he will pick up that gold. Not too much of a change in terms of map control, would have expired anyway. He's actually now staying near that top lane. That's what I would have expected. I would have expected even more presence from him in the top lane. But of course, that gank in bot lane for the first part was very, very good from him as well.
Yeah, so Maluna is lingering, see if he can get anything picked on Alexic. And Cannon's so hard to pin down. Definitely a very hard champion to keep, but he's going aggressive. And there's Diamond Prox actually coming around the back, and that's just actually pulled him into problems. You can see he's just took down that ward with the Oracle. So both junglers with an Oracle on now, so keep your eyes on that one. Meanwhile, Ash down that bottom lane. It seemed to be the Karthus ulti, I think, was in response to the Ezreal ulti that went off. I saw the Ezreal ulti shooting up the map just as you started it all. So it was a bit of a throwing everything out there. But the Karthus ulti's got such a long cooldown on that timer. It's be interesting to see whether it all comes back in time. And obviously the Ash arrow is ready. And you can see Udyr down that bottom lane, trying to get in position. I think he's just bumped into a ward that was in that Tribush, which I think he's taken out. Now he's going to be heading up. The two junglers are going to meet each other. Maluna's sat there. Diamond Prox goes into a bear stance and says, I'm not having any of this fight. I'm just going to stun you and run.
Yeah. Yeah, the junglers, of course, don't want to go into a fight when one of the mid champions is around. Dragon it's getting about that time, especially since both the junglers have oracles. Ezreal using the ultimate just to farm a little bit there in bot lane. It would be a very interesting time for them to go for it, because Alex Ish actually, he's doing something that we've seen from AP champions a bit more often recently, where they go for a lot of early flat penetration.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that, especially in the early game, that is quite a power jump. I like talking about power jumps, but they're quite important when realizing when you hit one of these little bumps in your power curve. And what Crs are probably going to do is they're going to try for a gank there in bot lane. Maluna is going to find the ward, just clear it out, so they are going to be safe. But they might want to go for Dragon after that. Oh, Alex.
Yeah, Alex Ish was going for a gank there. Yeah, he was going for a gank. We kind of just, you fell about 4 seconds behind me. Meanwhile, Diamond Proxy is going to go for Zinnik there. Zinnik's going to get the stun down, and Maluna comes in as well. Don't forget there is an Oracle on Maluna, but it's Slepper they seem to have turned their attention to. Zinnik almost certainly will drop in this fight. Slepper's going to go down as well. Double kill for Vladimir as the ultimate finishes its final proc, and that's going to set them up beautifully for a Dragon. 3-1 for Moscow 5, and it's just things like that can turn the game very quickly.
Yeah. And that's going to be an uncontested Baron, of course. That is of course the risk of the Ash Arrow. When the Ash Arrow hits somebody like that, they can take them out very, very easily. There's very little that Crs could have done there. They would have had to be lucky and have Maluna around. Alex Ish is in top lane right now. I think he's probably just holding that lane a little bit while the rest of his team was going for a Dragon. And Angush is not doing too great. He is going for the early Infinity Edge like we said he would. Until he finishes that, he's not going to be that much of a strong damage influence on fights. Of course, having 2 AD carries practically means that they do have a bit of a stronger late game if they can make it go that far. But for now, Lee, why am I saying me? M5. M5 definitely with an advantage, 3k gold ahead roughly, and 2 kills, and of course, that early Dragon. It may also be a psychological factor. They didn't just get the gold, they also said, well, look at that, we can just double kill your bot lane and then take Dragon, there's nothing you can do. Crs need to make sure to keep their nerves about them and play this down very, very calmly.
Yeah, and you talked about how much Kayle really needs to push into this, and we've just seen Darian get that double kill. He's come back with effectively the beginnings of a Rabadon's death cap. I say it's beginnings, it's very much an almost complete Rabadon's death cap, which is 1,000 gold. Ghostly Pepper's actually been stunned in this bottom lane, not really getting a great deal on him. In fact, he turns around and gets a power cord in his face from Ghostly Pepper there, happily to stand and bang with a double pairing. Oh, the Ash Arrow is going up towards mid, he's going towards Karthus. Will it land? It's just going to flash past, and that was a call from bottom lane. They saw that happen. Extinct taken down very low by Alex Ish there, so great little play between the two.
Yep, Alex Ish is playing very aggressively thanks to his early penetration. He just went in there, burned his ultimate, burned his ignite again. They hope to actually finish off the kill with an Ash Arrow, and that could have almost worked, but this time we saw very good coordination from the teams actually calling, careful, arrow is coming. And Alex once again not deciding to put any damage on that mid turret, still wants the turret to stay exactly where it is.
He does. At the moment, Vladimir, well, 100 CS to 86, and now Kayle has just been back. He's got himself Berserker Greaves now. He had only got the pickaxe early on, so he's fell behind a little bit, but he's got the beginnings of Infinity Edge, but it's a long, long way off there. And he needs to be careful he doesn't get caught out here by the combo of Alex Ish and Diamond Prox. Meanwhile, down the bottom, Crescendo has gone off. Ghostly Pepper surely going to drop to the ultimate. Yes, he will do. So Karthus picks the kill up there. Genja taken down very low as well, but he can try and finish off Slepper here, keeping them both very low. If he could get a little bit of a help, and you can see Alex Ish was trying to come down. The stun comes out though, Dazzle on towards Genja. Meanwhile, Zinnik is now taking the arrows in the back, and Genja is just about hanging on to this one, but it was an important kill in that bottom lane. Slepper picked it. No, he didn't. It was Karthus that picked it up. Yep. So Slepper's still yet to get the kill.
Well, feeding a Karthus is of course not
that's good.
the worst idea. Anguish is going very, very aggressively for Darian, but Diamond just showing up at the best moment possible. I'm quite surprised that Anguish can be this aggressive against Vladimir all by himself and actually get him down very, very low. Even though, like you said, Vladimir almost has the death cap ready, but Darian apparently knew this would happen because he came back to lane with 3 potions, which is not something you see often this late in the game. Maluna's cleared out the wards in the river right now, so he is ready to gank if Vladimir pushes out a little bit. He is hovering around there. But so is Diamond, and I think Diamond just has the spider sense of saying, if I was the jungler for Crs right now, this is where I would like to be. Alex Ish eating some Skittles there in mid lane. Should be fine. It's about down to half
Oh,
health.
the top lane, he's just walked straight into the bush. Angus there on the tri-bush, has to use his flash in towards the Baron pit. He will be safe from there. Actually pulled aggro on the Baron as well, I think, as he went past somehow. Probably a bit of a righteous fury going off while he was having a drive-by moment. Meanwhile, you can see in the middle here, Maluna now trying to get himself positioned. Are they strong enough to dive Alex? I don't think so. They're not going to be worth it, especially with that Oracle on.
Yeah, and Alex's ultimate is back up. You do not want to dive a cannon with ultimate. It's just not a good idea. Gosu and Genja are being very aggressive there in bot lane right now. Slapper had to leave for a second. See how Slapper is doing though. Even though his lane is not going that great in the last couple of minutes, he is still just a little bit ahead in CS, not very much, but he's definitely holding on to that lane, and it looks like he is going to go for that early Trinity Force like really most Ezreals do.
Yeah, so as it is at the moment, you can see Darian again pushing heavily on that top lane. Diamond Prox, well, he's just had a ward put down in his face there. He didn't notice it though. Angush, how is the farm going for Angush? He's 113 to 132, so he's in a dangerous, precarious position of just slipping away from this top lane and just falling away. But we are moving slowly in towards mid-game. You can see Rod of Age is now completed on Karthus in that middle lane. And we were talking about, oh, down the bottom, Ghostly Pepper getting caught. Aggressive again from Slepper there, but it's not enough. And just as his AD carry was away, going very aggressive in their faces. Meanwhile, Genja has come back actually with that BF sword. He's had it a little while. He's got Berserker Greaves now. Down the bottom, it looks like a four-man move here. Maluna is there. They're well aware of it. They know, look at that, pings instantly on Alex Teach's face. They knew the positioning so well. These teams are just so aware of their map awareness. That doesn't make sense.
And Dragon, and Dragon is back in about less than a minute. There's the flash in for the Dazzle, but Gozu in a good position on the tower. They did not want to dive it, even though they did have Maluna with his ultimate around. And he's going to clear up a ward and going to be just happy. So about half a minute right now to Dragon, and I'm pretty sure Curse noticed as well and want to be ready for it. Angush is actually doing a good job top lane. I just have to point out, yes, he is about 20 CS behind, but given the fact that that Darian was donated 2 kills there, he's still doing a really, really nice job.
Oh, this is maybe prime timing here. Karthus is just going back. The Dragon is due in 20 seconds time. Now, is it going to be prime timing to get back there? Angush is not heading to Dragon, but what you can see, the Moscow 5 are definitely maneuvering for this. Odir's definitely heading his way down that way. Kennan's just cleared out the Wraith, so he's going to be ready to position it. Darian has just spawned. Look, he's heading directly for it. So, again, Curse are not ready for this one. They're not prepared for it, whereas Moscow 5 are definitely maneuvering for this one. Ozzy going to check the tri-bush. Diamond Prox is thinking about it. There is no ward placement at all. Nothing at all. It's been completely cleared out by Diamond Prox. So, Moscow 5 very much in the prime position for this Dragon.
It almost looks like Curse don't even have the timer or don't really care. Now Anguish is coming down. Maybe they had a delayed timer or something. But 4 men of M5 are currently working on Dragon. Alex is still showing his face in mid lane. Maybe just to make it not quite so conspicuous. But this is a very, very easy Dragon picked up there. And there is the arrow coming in, but it's not going to hit anyone. Alex was so ready to follow up on that one. You could see that.
If that had landed on Extinct, it would have been a very dead Extinct. It wasn't the case. So bunch of Philo Stones, Heart of Gold as well. Again on Zinnek. We talk about these
bot lane.
GP10s bot lane. Yeah, Ghostly Pepper getting caught out there. Will finally surely get dropped by Stepper, but he's hanging on in there. Just manages to get a heal off. There comes the Karthus ulti as well. Can it be enough to take down Genja? No, it will not. Genja's actually going to come back and trying to get it back in exchange here. Slepper, though, very nicely dazzled there by Zinnek to save his AD carrier. Maluna was also there in support. Now we got Kennen also making a move on Karthus up in the mid lane there, and Karthus has been forced away. And the pings go down like we know where he is, and Angush wants a piece of this. Angush is going to go straight towards Alex Teach. Alex Teach is going to get the stun down on him and then just electric surge away. Maluna is going to try and dive this one. A flash used by Alex Teach. Very cautious play.
Yeah, he knew that Angush was around, had ultimate ready, so they could have dived that very, very easily. I think it was a wise move to flash away there. You could see that Angush can put a lot of damage down onto Kennen if he wants to, but the stun actually kept him in place and not attacking for long enough there. We point out Maluna once again with the mobility boots on his Alistair. He's just all over the place all the time. And Darian finally did decide to take that top turret down.
Yeah, so very nice play. Moscow 5 building that gold advantage, taking down the Dragon and the turret, the first turret for them. Obviously, it's not the first turret of the game because that top turret was already down. So we're all square, but they have that 4k gold advantage, which is not to be sniffed at. That means they were really winning in farm. They've got the double dragons as well. Actually, just getting caught out by the electric surge. The wall of pain has to pop his ulti on towards Maluna there. Maluna's got to be very careful, uses his ulti of his own. The exhaust is going to do great things there, and surely this could be Alex Itch going down, but he got the kill, and that is a far more important kill on Maluna because they just lost an Oracle.
Yeah. and that was really well played from Alex. I think he didn't actually have flash. He tried to get in position. It looked like he was trying to flash over. He does get the kill just in the last second, and that's just the mark of a great player, being that calm in a situation like that, to know that you can actually get a high value kill there. Diamond now doing some work on the mid turret, but Extinct should be able to push him out of there easily enough. He actually gets a wall of pain down on him, but it's not going to be too much. And I'm a little bit ahead again, aren't I?
He's just going to turtle his way through that one. Meanwhile, you can see that Darian down that top lane, that makes no sense in the English language, but Darian on that top lane is very much just continuing his push. He's keeping Angus, basically stopping him wandering, and he's having to keep him in that lane. And meanwhile, Darian is quite happy to just go around. There you go. He's got that Rabadon's death cap. Surely to God, that is not a Guardian Angel he's building already.
That would be so early. Normally, if this wasn't M5, I'd say definitely that's going to be a Sonya, but you never know.
You never know with this, but I'm just so used to seeing these chain vests because I can see one on Udyr as well.
Yeah.
I just think, no, surely not this early.
They like their chain vests.
But just look at the build on Alex Eachdown. So he's got what, 45% penetration now, I think, from those two items, and he's got the Abyssal Scepter as well, so the magic resist drop down as well. He's going to be doing a lot of damage if he can get that ulti off in a full team fight.
Yep, 45 flat penetration, and the another 20 that just drops the MR. I think that works pretty much the same there. And yeah,
dive down the bottom. Genja's going to get caught out here. He's actually going to get dropped eventually. Can they take Gosu Pepper as well on the tower? It looks like they're going to dive for it. Extinct was there. You can see he's just going to get one more layways down. He's surely going to drop. He tries to dodge it as best he can, but will go down to a double kill. And now Curse have that advantage. Angus, meanwhile, he's going to try and come onto Alex Itch in that middle lane. Angus, look at that, just cheekily continues to, I'm going to get another shuriken on this. If you don't touch me, I'm going to keep hitting your turret. But they seem to be winning out that lane. Darian now have to come down to that bottom lane. So Slepper's really becoming the only problem for them, as well as Karthus for Curse. But outside of that, Moscow 5 were very strong in all the lanes. And again, Alex just said, fine, if you're going to push me out of there, I'm going to go and farm your top lane.
Slepper is really a classic AD carry in that he tries to farm himself up and be a huge impact on team fights, and we've seen that from him in the group stage time again yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised to actually see Genja also go for Guardian Angel sooner rather than later. So there is definitely going to be more raw power output, or damage output rather, on Team Curse than on Team M5. But M5, you know, these two chain vests could very well be the two first Guardian Angels of the game, and it's going to be very, very tough for Curse to deal with that.
No, it's going to be as Onya's. I can see that there is the need to charge rod. I'll be gobsmacked if he switches to that. Let's put it that way. So at the moment they're maneuvering. 24:01 is when the Dragon timer is due, so it's another minute away, and that's another turret going down. Moscow 5 picking that bottom turret up. That top turret's had a little bit of work on it as well. It seems to be the mid turret where they're starting to keep their focus. Genja's been hanging around there. Looks like they're going to make the move down the bottom. They've got to deal with Darian. Darian continuing to push that bottom lane. Alexic returning to top here. Now Angus is starting to get strong, starting to get farmed. Can Alexic get a stun on him? No, he can't. But he's still yet to complete an item.
Anguish 2,200 gold up above. Oh, and Alex is actually using his ultimate for no reason there. Must have been a misclick. Oh, that's very, very unfortunate for him. Anguish is 2,200 gold above. Darian is above Anguish, of course. And he finds Cynic there, but doesn't really want to tango with him there. So the lane definitely worked out really, really well for Darian's Vladimir, which shouldn't be a surprise. Darian often gets his Vladimir banned, not this game, of course. And yeah, it's going to be a Sonya's. Once he has those two items, he is going to be so very, very hard to shut down, because the Sonya's just means it's guaranteed for him to get into that late stage of the team fight, more or less guaranteed with the pool and the Sonya's, and that's when Vladimir really shines. And Dragon is up at 24:01, so in about 7 seconds. And M5 once again just so very ready for this. Anguish just went back. Once again, it looks like Curse just weren't ready for the Dragon.
They're not. Maluna is actually about to come around. The pings go down. They might be able to pull sync off here. Kennan's going to come around the backside of him. Alexic will get a shuriken. He just dodges it very nicely, Maluna, there at the top of your screen. Ezreal ulti tries to get the steal off. Can he finish it off? Oh, nearly got the steal, but the smite was there. Doesn't matter. They've managed to pick that up. So that's the third Dragon of the game for Moscow 5, I believe. And 30-20 will be the next timer, I believe. There you go, 30-16. We get confirmation come through. As the last person at the moment, it's all Maluna. It's got to be very careful. Darian's going to get caught out here. Wall of Pain is had to pulled up. Can he come around? Oh, that's a great crescendo. Maluna with the Oracle on again. Could go down to this one. The Ezreal, the Vladimir ulti will proc off. Double kill off the ulti. Very nicely done. And that is another. Oh, the Karthus ulti will pick up 1, 2. no, he only got the one. Darien survived through it, would you believe it? And Genja with absolutely no health. They're going to continue on to Angush. They do get a kill, but Slepper managed to pick up a kill on towards Gosu Pepper as well at the same time. A very even fight between the two, but again, the Oracle was lost.
Yep. And the important kills here, Angush and Extinct killed from Curse, were Darien, Alex Ish, and Genja. The carries all survived. So just the jungle and support going down for M5 there. And did Diamond have an Oracles before this?
Diamond Procs? Yes, he did. So actually a double Oracle loss.
Yeah, both Oracles actually lost there. That, of course, is 400 gold, but still, getting your carries killed, not very nice. Darien actually going in against Slepper here, doing a lot of damage. Slepper thought he could possibly outpoke him, but no way at all. Darien, once again, just not building any spell vamp until very, very late. So that's going to be a Crystal Scepter, obviously, the next item that he's building towards there. Don't think he's going to go for the Void stuff, would be very surprising. And he just says, you know what, I'm going to be happy with my inbuilt spell vamp from my Q. And I just want to be in a fight and do as much damage as possible and take people out and survive through it with my pool and my Zhonya's and then just mop up in the end of the fight.
Yeah, and the second Zhonya's Hourglass as well coming. Alex is building that one up at the moment. You see Darien heading to the north. 4-0-1 now, Darien. Infinity Edge on Genja and Kayle now. So Angush has got that build. Angush is going to be doing a lot more damage in the next fight. Be careful of where he goes. And you obviously don't want to be clumping together. Look at this Darien, though. He wants a piece of him. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to stand here. I know there's two of you. And I'm just going to shove you back down that lane. You're not going to stand and bang with me at the moment. Angush does not want any part of that. Diamond Procs, meanwhile, looks like he's, rebought the Oracle. He's going to check out the Baron. Nothing in the pit there, just needs to clear that ward that's on the river, which he's just passed by. Spots it, wards it, takes it out, no problem. Are they going to try and bait for a Baron here? That's the question. We're at 26 minutes. It's entirely possible they could go for it here. And Curse realised that Slepper's down that bottom lane, but instead I think they're just going to shove that mid lane.
Extinct just finished his death cap last time he went to base, so he definitely wants to fight right now. Ezreal has also bought his BF sword on top of his Trinity Force right now. They should be feeling pretty strong. They are possibly just going to get, well, they are going to go into that phase where having that second AD carry who's not fallen completely behind is also an advantage. But so far we can see Kayle has not really done that well yet. I'm not entirely sure where the ultimate went to last fight. Karthus is also not fed enough that he can just go in with the Kayle ulti and just decide to fight all by himself. I mean, he's 5-1-1. He's definitely the strongest person on the team right now. But he has less farm than Darien. Is about the same farm as Alex, so it's not like he's in a very, very clear dominant position.
So Genja farming up down this bottom lane. Let's have a look at the builds. I mean, we've got Glacial Shroud coming out, so that's probably going to build towards Fruz and Heart, I'm guessing. So that's going to be a really, really tanky. With the Aegis as well. I mean, no idea. This is what Jack mentioned. This is how he builds it. He builds it just very tanky, in your face. Stun bot, basically. Just clearing things out. Ghosty Pepper sticking with him, clearing out the ward placement. And absolutely, they've really kept the Baron pit completely empty of wards. Angush just coming around there. They're looking to see if they can get something. Have they got the timer on the blue here? I'm not too sure. Or are they going to try and sneak around the backside of someone? They're using Genja as bait by the looks of it to me. Oh, Angush actually having an exchange with Darien here and seems to be winning out now. He's got that Infinity Edge, has the strength there, but Angush got to be careful because he's going to get the rest of Moscow 5 coming across the side of him, trying to cut him off. The pings go down. They are well aware that they are in that bush.
Oh,
not going to exchange. Slepper's going to get caught out by Genja. Genja will surely win this exchange. No, Slepper does pick up the kill. Diamond Procs will finish him off, but wow, Slepper just pulled the burst out there. I think he caught Genja out by surprise as well.
Pretty much. Now that the AD carry is down though for Team Curse, I mean both AD carries are down, M5 feel that they can go in for this. They're not that scared of Extinct and Angush at the moment. And let's see if they're right in this. They will catch Cynic. No, barely not catching him. Very good dazzle onto Diamond. They're just keeping him out of bear stun range there. Extinct is trying to actually, he's going in 2v4 there right now. This may not be the best idea. Extinct goes down very, very quickly, but his AoE is still in the right position. There comes his ultimate down on him right now. Turtle Shield is just barely going to keep Diamond Procs alive. And Darien is still in this, and this is cleanup phase right now. Darien with a double kill, and this is exactly what Vladimir wants to do. He wants to live through a fight and clean up after.
He does, and we talked about it before, that Darien either goes big or goes bad.
Yeah.
And at the moment, he's 6-0-2, going very big. 11-9 advantage for Moscow 5 at the moment. Well, 3-1 in towers, and Angush is still alive though, so he's going to easily clear things out, keep them supported, keep things away from all the towers. So everybody's going to go back and buy after the crazy fight that just happened. Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer now on Genja, so Genja's going to be even stronger. Meanwhile, what's his name? That's the one I'm after, Slepper. That's who I was after. Has had to go the different route, which is Trinity Force and the Bloodthirster. So a lot of damage, but not so much the attack speed, which I guess you kind of want in Ezreal.
And I was wrong, Lee. He actually did go for the Void Staff on Darien instead of the Crystal Scepter.
Okay.
Yesterday we saw him go, we saw Vladimir go for Crystal Scepter. That's what I remember for sure. They are going for Baron again, so he really just wants to maximize damage output at all costs, which is atypical, let's put it that way, atypical for Moscow 5 that they want to do this instead of just being super tanky, but they do have tanky Udyr, man. And now Curs are coming around to check what's going on with this whole Baron situation here, and M5 don't want to fight this without Genji, who could send, of course, the arrow across, but wouldn't have his damage. He has the PDIE combo completed, a little bit more gold in items there actually on Slepper, with the, as you mentioned, the 24th Bloodthirster. Next Dragon just popped, 3016 was the timing, and once again it's M5 that's ready for this, and Curs just, you know, maybe they want to try to turn this around and go for a Baron instead, but if so, then they're being way too hesitant, and no, that's not what's happening. That's what, the 4th or 5th Dragon in a row that M5 pick up?
Absolutely, the 4th one I believe, yep. They've taken down so far, no problems for them. Farming it up well, and Curs have managed to get themselves in a reasonable position to try and clear this one out. Is Diamondprox going to go for this one? He is. They're going aggressive. The Ash Arrow is going to come in and land all 4 of them there. The stun goes in. The Kennen ulti manages to hit a lot of them. Anguish is going to get taken down. Anguish had to use the invulnerability. Zhonya's Hourglass used perfectly there. Extinct is on absolutely no health at all. Moscow 5 picking up 2 kills so far. There's the 3rd as well. Double kill for Genja. Very nicely played. The Karthus ulti is going to come out. I don't think it's going to pick anything up. Zhonya's Hourglass used by Darien, I think a little bit overzealous, but doesn't matter. He's going to use it. The timer will be back before he gets into the next fight, and surely the Baron will be picked up there. Very nicely worked for Moscow 5 there.
Moscow 5, knowing that they were in a dominating position, went into the enemy forest, picked the fight. They didn't get a good Ash Arrow. They got an Ash Arrow that hit all of them for the damage and the slow. But the stun went to Malunu, of course, was not the prime target for a stun there. But still, the early pick there on Extinct. And Alex, once again, proving me wrong, actually going, of course, for the Zhonyas and using it to perfection as well. So maybe he's looked at his games and said, actually, this is something we could try instead to be a little bit more defensive. And to be able to survive these fights. And there's really so much damage potential. I just have to keep saying this. Yes, Udyr is very, very tanky right now, but there is no sign of any defensive items on Genja yet. There is really nothing too defensive at Alex. He has the Zhonyas and the Abyssal, of course. And Darien, except for the Zhonyas, there's not and of course the boots, there's really not a piece of gold spent on any defense there. And there is the Will of the Ancients now as well, which of course is exactly the item that you would expect in a double AP combo.
Indeed. So at the moment, Moscow 5 in the ascendancy. Curs really need to try and get into this one. And I've got to worry. I've got to think back to DreamHack where they were kind of in the fight. But honestly, I've never felt that the Curs were quite in this one. They've been hanging on. I think it is. And Moscow 5 is starting to turn up the pressure, starting to turn up the heat, starting to cause problems for them. 7-0 Darien says a lot about that top lane. You talked about it right at the start. If you go Kayle, you've got to go aggressive, especially on a Vladimir, and it just hasn't seemed to work out for them. Unlike, say, a Dyrus, who's obviously quite happy to pull that lane, although he openly admits that Reginald carries in many games.
Yeah, it's true. And Reggie's Karthus plus Dyrus' Kayle, that was just a combo that worked, because for both of them, those are like prime heroes that they really like to play and are really good with. M5 now, actually the arrow once again hitting Maluna, but they don't care, they go in anyway. Alex gets knocked up a little bit and exhausted. He uses his Zhonyas, they're still on the tower. The ultimate is on Extinct, it's going to keep him alive. Anguish is about to fall, just barely surviving there, and the kill actually goes down onto Extinct and onto Anguish. The Karthus ultimate is not going to pick up anything. Alex Ish did fall there. Genja is still alive. And I forgot to mention that Genja, of course, does have the Guardian's Angel. Diamondprox just tanking the turret, maybe a little overzealous. There's creeps just around the corner. And a 4-for-1 exchange for Moscow 5. Lee, I just have to say they're looking really, really good. It looks like they're about to decide this first game in the best of 3.
It does. It looks like the beers last night seem to have woke them up, pulled them out of their slumber, because they were a little bit shaky last night. Wow, Slepper's still doing a lot of burst damage. Quite happy to tank on Gosu Pepper here. And Diamondprox, as soon as he comes near, and he just steps away, but the inhibitor does go down. 18-10 the score, 5-1 in turrets. Massive gold lead. It's 17k. But you know what? Teams have come back from bigger.
27, I believe, was the number that I saw once.
Yeah.
I don't know who casted that game, but yeah. It was a pretty fun game.
It was a ropey cast.
I can imagine that. M5 now taking the inner top turret as well. with absolutely no problems. I would not expect Curse to defend anything other than the inhib turret. They need to really pull off a great defense, and they do have a little bit of wave to the Castle. Angish going in from the side, as well ultimate going across them as well. It's not quite enough. Diamond still dueling with Slepper there. Gozu now coming over to help Diamond a little bit. Slepper is still by himself, and there's the Ash Arrow. I heard a crescendo as well, didn't quite see it. Slepper jumps back across in the last second, and he did get away. So that was well played. Gozu gets stunned. It's going to be fine, though.
Yeah, it's K.
It's K. He had oranges, probably.
Yeah, but they are going to be pushing around the side. They've got the minion stack coming through. Have they got enough to try and push them on the turret? You can see that just at the side, Diamond Prox is causing them problems in that Phoenix stance at the moment, running around like an airplane, I believe was the phrase you used earlier, but they will take that turret down very quickly. The good wall of pain there does keep them at bay, though. They're going to try and take the inhibitor down. Curse are going to go for this one. They feel like this is the chance. They have to try and take it. Maluna trying to get involved. They're not grouping for him to pulverize. Finally, he gets the pulverize off there, but it's a little bit too late. The damage is done, and Extinct is being kept out of the way. Maluna goes down. There you go. The Extinct trying to do as much as he can, but he just gets dropped in seconds, headbutted away, and then causes the problems. And Slepper, well, again, he's just having to do damage control, keep them away from their Nexus turrets, but I don't think it's going to be enough, Daniel. I think Moscow 5 have this one in the bag, and what a great bit of play. Wow, Alex, it's just drop him in second. That was a very, very quick death for Slepper.
Yep, that was not what Curse wanted from the first game here. They will have to... There's really not one big problem that they can address, that they can turn around and say, well, obviously we need to ban this guy or do this. They'll just need to come closer together and show a little bit more coordination, because in this game, not exactly what you need to do to pull off a win against M5. And you said that maybe it was the beers that woke them up, maybe it was just the pressure of the semifinals. What I heard earlier this morning is that M5 grow with their enemies. I think that is the most diplomatic way of putting it. And they rise to the challenge, and they just showed it that they can absolutely, well, make it look easy to take down Curse.
Well, GG says the fan behind us, so yeah, absolutely very well played. And Moscow 5, you know, they just turned up and they did the Moscow 5 thing. We all know how they play, they all know what they're going to do, and it seemed to work very well for them yet again. So beautiful, beautiful play there from Moscow 5. Can Curse come back from this one? That's the question, because Curse, you know, I got a fear for them. I just hope something doesn't set in their mind where it causes them problems and suddenly they slump. You know, it happens with teams. How's their moral going to work out? You know, they've been together as a team for a week, maybe 2 weeks in Berlin. So maybe they've come together, binded as a team more. I don't know how it's going to work out for them.
Yeah. Hey, production, are you still there?
It's the biggest League of Legends event yet.
The best players from around the globe are competing for the biggest prize pool in the history of esports.
Announcing the Season 2 World Championship. Riot and the entire League of Legends community have been watching Season 2 unfold, and the competition has been fierce. Early leaders like SK Gaming, CLG, TSM, and Dignitas quickly emerged, but upstarts such as MIG, World Elite, and Moscow 5 have exploded onto the scene.
Wanted to make a statement to players around the world when we committed to a multi-million-dollar prize pool. League of Legends will be an esports leader for years to come. So far, we've awarded over $1 million in prize money to teams around the globe. And one of those teams is going to walk away with the grand prize. We can't wait to see how many summoners watch the rest of this season's events. Just halfway through the season, more people are watching League of Legends than tune in to watch Major League Baseball games on ESPN.
The regional finals will come to you live from around the world. We kick off in mainland China at ChinaJoy in July, followed by Europe at Gamescom in August, North America at PAX Prime in September, Southeast Asia, Singapore and Taiwan, and wrapping up in Korea at the OnGameNet Esports Stadium. After the regional winners have been declared, the top 12 teams will then put it all on the line during the Season 2 World Championship in Los Angeles, California. We want to show our players and the world that Riot Games is committed to elevating esports. And that's why we are raising the bar to where it belongs. This is not going to be your typical esport event. And it's all in support of the insane competition between the two best teams on the planet. The Season 2 World Championship.
Tickets go on sale this summer.